What's up, guys? I'm Nathan, and this is the updated anime adventures tier list for the new Tokyo Ghoul update. Currently, there are 4 characters that have shown up in the banner. If there's any new significantly good ones, then I will probably make an updated one. If not, I'll just go ahead and put it in the pinned comment. So we have God tier that's going to be for the characters that are just so broken that they aren't even on the same tier as other metas. S tier is going to be for the meta characters that can be used, basically alternatives, things like that. A tier is going to be characters that are really good even for pro players. B tier is going to be the best characters for beginners. C tier is going to be okay characters for beginners, and D tier is going to be characters that even beginners probably should not use. TATARA is one of the new mythicals. He is going to be in S tier. He is a burning character and is a kind of alternative to Akenu. You can place the same amount of them down, and they're both doing burn damage and stuff, but they're two sides of the same coin. Akenu has insane range, like 50. TATARA has only 32. However, TATARA can do double burn damage, which is actually a lot more than the average character, which is actually just really good. They both have similar DPS and stuff, but I'm leaning more towards Akenu because burn doesn't really stack and range means you can hit enemies more times, which is why I am giving more priority to Akenu, but they're both really good. Touka is going to be in B tier. He's one of the best legendaries for Infinite along with Goku Blue. He's got a really good AoE and stuff, but he's probably worse than another new legendary that's going to be Norro. He's not A tier, but just because for beginners the main priority is not going to be Infinite, but rather it's going to be doing story mode, and Touka is extremely expensive. Norro is about the same cost as Giorno, which is why he's better because they both have a lot more AoE than Giorno. Then we have JOUZOU, who's going to be in S tier, like along with Akenu. Honestly, I would put him even higher because in the new Tokyo Ghoul map, like they're both doing really good DPS. And the thing is, in the new Tokyo Ghoul map, these bleeders are really necessary. Like first of all, JOUZOU is doing more DPS than Akenu and stuff, and additionally, HP regen enemies, there's just way too many of them on the new map, and bleeding basically will reduce the amount of HP they regen by 75%, which is going to be really helpful. Eren is going to be in God tier because he's just really broken. He's summoning like 11 enemy units with 365k HP, doing about 4 million damage. He does have a 480 second SPA, but that can be somewhat reduced if you get the light speed trait. And also he's just insane burst damage against bosses. Lelouch is also going to be in God tier because he's summoning units with like 5k HP. They shoot, and he summons a mech with like 13 or 15k HP that even attacks with AoE, and on top of that he can move enemies back with his ability and make them attack other enemies. It's just a bit too much brokenness. But then we have Karakuri, who's going to be right there as solid S tier. He has a pretty big AoE, pretty big range, and he slows down enemies, which is obviously really helpful on the leaderboard. However, he does cost a lot, so that's one thing that you guys need to keep in mind. And he's going to be a support unit, which is why I'm giving the DPS units a bit more priority. Then we have Ace, who's going to be in A tier. He's a secret unit doing over 1500 damage, which is not that bad, plus he burns and stuff, so he's okay. Luffy is D tier for obvious reasons. Gohan is going to be in A tier. He is like not terrible, but he is a leaderboard unit, meaning he's kind of useless because if you're on the leaderboards then you probably have way better characters than something doing just over 1000. Then we have Eren, who's not terrible. He is a summoner unit, but the thing with summoner units is you're basically not hitting multiple enemies, like you don't really have an AoE. He summons enemies with okay HP, and he does summon an attack titan with like over 3000 4000 damage HP, and also dealing a little bit of damage, but still definitely not on par with the characters that are best for beginners. Genos D tier, he is okay because of his 2 second SPA, so, but I mean, yeah. C tier is going to be characters that are like meh legendaries and good epics and stuff, so Genos doesn't fit that. Sanji is also going to be right there. He does have a pretty fast 200. He does have a decent SPA and okay damage for a rare, and he also costs 250 to place, which makes him pretty nice. But Jotaro is just even better as a starter for beginners, primarily because Jotaro can time stop, and also he'll be starting off with a lot more range and damage. Piccolo has good range, but kind of lacking on damage and stuff. Levi is going to be like top 8 tier. He has a crit which doubles his damage and stuff if you're lucky. He has a very tiny circle AoE, which is why he's not going to be up in S tier. And the good thing about him is you can place 6 of him down, but still not one of the better mythics, I have to say. Now you have All Might, who's going to be in S tier. All Might does very good DPS with huge AoE. Additionally, he automatically pushes units back, which is just ultra helpful. Then we have Speedwagon, who is kind of meta for storing mode because you can place 3 of him down. That helps. Bottom C tier is going to be Crocodile because he's an epic that's honestly quite good DPS wise and range and AoE wise. Definitely one of the best epics. Then we have Naruto, who is kind of useless just fodder material, and that too even the mythical isn't great. Basically he's not that great for a legendary, and you could say he's for beginners, but you need to be level 25 to unlock raids, so basically useless. Zeke is going to be right there in C tier because he does have a lot of range, I have to say. So yeah, he's probably better than Eren. Then we have Zenitsu, who is kind of garbage. Gaara is going to be in C tier because he automatically stuns enemies with a nice AoE, that helps. Trafalgar Law does not have AoE, but he does do a lot of DPS, so he's kind of like a boss killer for beginners, you could say. Then we have Rengoku, who's going to be in A tier. He does have a pretty nice rectangle AoE with burn damage, but nothing too special compared to what we are seeing lately. Then we have Erwin, who basically buffs your units by 25%, which is just insane. One of the best legendaries. He also summons, meaning he's not bad for beginners. Then we have Whitebeard, who is going to be like right about here in S tier, probably like right below Karakuri. He does have a manual ability that can push enemies back, which does help. But All Might is just a slightly better version of him, just because he's automatically doing this. Blackbeard is going to be S tier along with Erwin because he curses the units, the enemies, and basically makes them take more damage from your units. Then we have this dude. He's not terrible per se, Goku Black, because he does have a lot of range. He's just one of the worst ones. Then we have Mihawk, who has a lot of range with a slightly narrow rectangle AoE and decent damage, so he is one of the better characters for beginners. This dude Kakashi is garbage just because he costs way too much for what he is able to do. Sakura is going to be like the best buffer for beginners because she will be buffing by 10%, and it does stack with Erwin, so honestly not terrible. Then we have Armin, who is going to be probably like, yeah, he is going to be like top B tier. He is okay for beginners technically, but beginners probably won't be having a mythical, and you should not go for this mythical. I'm just putting that out there because he is the worst mythical in the game as of now. He is still better than these because he has a huge AoE and he will be doing like 10k damage. So you know what, fair enough. Only thing is his SPA is like 60 seconds and it's with a manual ability, which is kind of garbage. He's not gonna be A tier even. Then we have this dude Goku, who is going to be like the better one for infinite mode. He does quite good damage per second, but he does have a rectangle AoE, which is a little bit less, it's less usable compared to circle AoE because it's not as versatile. Anyway, then we have Itachi, who's honestly not one of the bad ones. He's not too bad. I'll go ahead and put him in B tier just because he burns, which is not that broken, but he does also have a circle AoE, so he's kind of helpful for beginners. Darby is going to be C tier because he's just one of the worst legendaries. He doesn't do much damage. He does burn, but that burn doesn't do much either, and he has a rectangle AoE. Then we have Josuke, who automatically stuns, but he's single target, which is doo-doo. Then we have Freezer, who is honestly not terrible. He's got a lot of range and a lot of AoE considering he's just an epic. Then we have Todoroki, who's going to be the best slower for beginners, because if you can't get evolved karakuri, Todoroki also slows just with way worse AoE. Broly is just going to be still the best mythic, just because of the fact that, okay, like other than Eren and stuff, but he basically is like Akenu, but he has full AoE, like, and they both have a lot of range, and they both have similar DPS, so like it's a no-brainer. Broly is still going to be the best. Then we have Killua, who's going to be about there. He's not too bad. He does hit fast. Then we have this dude, just because of the existence of Akenu, he's not meta anymore. And like I said, S is only for meta. Plus, TATARA is also better than Madara, just because of the 2 times burn. Madara does not have that, even though he has good AoE. So he's going to be top A tier. But maybe if you guys want me to, I might move him up. Then we have Bulma, who is going to be better than Speedwagon, because she did get an extra upgrade a couple updates ago. And she's just going to be a lot better for Infinite mode. But they both have their purpose, both Bulma and Speedwagon. Kakurin is going to be right about here. He has good AoE for an epic, but he is barely doing damage. Then we have Shanks, who's going to be a sorted S tier. He has full AoE with solid DPS, and basically he's doing a time stop. Jotaro is going to be here. He's like Shanks, but without his insane full AoE DPS. So I mean, yeah, they're both having the same purpose. Then we have the regular Luffy. Honestly, not terrible. The reason that I've included him is because for a beginner, he's not even that bad, because he's doing okay DPS. But more or less, I accidentally added him, and he's just chilling here now. Then we have the Naruto, who is not terrible, but definitely not the best. He's gonna be right about there in mid A tier. Overhaul is going to be in D tier. Kizaru is going to be like top C tier, because, well, at least he's more useful than Zeke overall to actually use in game, but he's nothing too special. Diavolo is going to be in A tier. He is a support, but he's like only single target. He does a full AoE like time stop, but it barely lasts for any time. And on top of that, there is a global cooldown on it, which is the problem. Then we have Dio, who's really good for story and for infinite. Basically, he's one of the best legendaries to get at the beginning. He automatically time stops with a huge AoE, which is just really, really helpful. Then we have Pain, who's gonna be like right there in A tier, because Pain is like a budget version of All Might. He will also be pushing enemies back with good AoE. But that is pretty much it for this tier list, so thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. If there's anything you disagree with, let me know, and I will catch you guys in the next video. See ya!